I think about it, I'm like, man, maybe I'll go back to corporate America. But then I'm like, no.
You've already had a taste of this now, so.
I've come too far down. You know what I'm saying? I've come too far. I'm like, I can't go back into that. Now,
I've seen the promised land. And there's grapes as big as our head.
Man, it is big.
But there are giants.
And the giants are real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The giants are, and I'm just being real and transparent. The giants are things like, they get good insurance in that corporate job. You know what I'm saying? And your wife is having some medical challenges, and it's
this is true story.
It's like, maybe I'll go back and get the corporate job because my wife needs the good insurance because she's having some medical challenges. Like that's a real life story, right? And it's like how do you do that? And it's like if you don't go back and get the good insurance, and you feel like you're letting like I felt like I was letting you down because but I'm like, but there's something greater. You know what I'm saying?
Relatively unknown. Let's go. We up and coming, we fun and we real and relevant. Yeah, we giving hope, we super dope, we heaven sent. If you sick and low, you need a dose, we got the medicine. Probably never heard of us before, but you gon' let us in. I told y'all boys before that we coming, ready to give it to anybody that want it. We bringing y'all the truth and keeping it 100. You may not know it now, but soon we gon' run it. We gon' run it, it's my promise. Y'all better get ready, cause we coming. Content gon' be so fire. Don't like, share, and subscribe. Yeah. Don't like, share, and subscribe. Content gon' be so fire. Don't like, share, and subscribe.
What is going on, good people? It is Philip
and Carrie,
and we are here with the Relatively Unknown podcast, your number one place for those people who are up and coming. And on today's show, listen, we're moving, y'all. And we want to share with you what's going on and the behind the scenes and all that good stuff. I know we've kind of been, a little sad, kind of dealing with it a little bit, but we're moving. And we want to share with you all that's happening in and around the move. So stay tuned. Be ready, because today is going to be a pretty doggone good segment. But listen, before we jump into anything, you got to get to, what's going on. What's going on? Yeah, that thing right there. We definitely got to get to the what's going on segment of the day. So what is going on with you, Miss Carrie
first
Edge?
of all, what's going on with you, sir? Because you have been, you've been traveling and, on the go for about 3 weeks now. So this is your first week at home for the full week in a while.
It has been 3 weeks, yeah. Three weeks of travel.
Yeah.
I've been in Boston. Boston. I've been in Boston.
In Cambridge?
Boston, Cambridge, those places. But we actually released a new program, which has been super dope. It's a leadership program for a large pharmaceutical company.
Yes,
that will go unnamed, but this pharmaceutical company, I'm sure.
Yes.
So we actually designed and developed a training curriculum for their university for this this company. And we rolled it out over the past 3 weeks to large fanfare. It was super dope. It was good. The managers are really kind of digging it. So it has been good. I realized a couple of things over the past couple of weeks, though. I realized that, I don't necessarily like traveling as much as I used to.
Traveling gets old. You used to be gone 42 weeks out of 52 weeks of the year.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it got old real quick, especially.
It wears on your body, doesn't it?
Yeah, I noticed I'm not as young as I used to be. So literally sitting on that plane for whatever the 2-3 hour plane ride, I was like, ugh. I forgot all that, and then
the worst is when you get back into Atlanta and have to drive back to Rome, though.
Yeah, it's a good drive, it's a 50 minutes or so, from the airport. But when you land, then you gotta go on the train, and you gotta go to the parking spot, then you gotta get in the car, then you got so there's just a lot to it. And this last trip, I had a group of middle school children who were on a school trip, and Yeah, it was quite interesting. It was quite interesting. It was
Yeah.
quite interesting. So what about you? What about you?
Well, I was going to ask you. So, what's the highlight of the training? Like, what's something that happened in the last 3 weeks that's just really kind of like stuck with you, motivated you? This is why I do this.
Yeah, I think number one, it's allowing the people to have those spotlight moments to where I see that they're getting it and I see the need for what we're doing. One of the things that we're talking about, which I thought was critical, was that we're talking about listening.
Yeah.
And we're teaching them that there are 5 different pieces that you have to do to actually listen. So as people managers in this company, a lot of them, they're like, we don't listen like that, because we're multitasking. We got a lot of stuff that we got going on. So we don't listen quite like that. So when I broke that down for them, not only were they like blown away, but they were like, yo, we need to use this at home because like, this might be a reason why we're having some flybys with my spouse, with my children and things like that. So it was actually pretty dope to see people say, they could see it working at home or at work, but they could also see it working at home.
That's awesome when you can give somebody a tool that is translatable into various different arenas of their life. I mean, we lead everywhere.
Yeah. And like I said, for me, it solidified a couple things. Number one, I love people, right? That's kind of why we do what we do.
Yeah, we're in the people business.
Yeah, we're in the people business, right? So it solidified that. It also showed me that no matter where you go across the country, people are still dealing with the same sorts of challenges and issues and things like that.
Human experience.
Right. So
when you're in the people business, you cater to the human experience.
Exactly. And then like I said, I think lastly, it allowed me to confirm that I love what I do, but there's also a reason why we do things the way that we do them, right? I don't necessarily want to be gone, as much as we've been gone, but again, I get it, and for the experience and to do this, I think you just do it.
Yeah. You gotta take the good with
you take
bad.
It all. You take it all. You take it all.
Yeah,
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Well, here we just we're just holding it down, holding it together. Wrapping up a subterm at school. Won't be wrapping.
How much
up
longer we got?
Too many more of those. I think I have 2 more academic classes, internship ×2.
Okay.
And an elective. That's it.
So we're almost there.
Yeah. So literally this summer I'll have all of my academic stuff done.
That's huge.
And be moving into an elective, something that I just kind of want to take to explore.
Yeah. And
my last component of internship. And then through the course of that, we'll be taking my national exams.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So through this process, first of all, has it gone quicker than you thought, or what is it taking forever?
No, it hasn't taken forever. I mean, this was only my it was my second fall.
Yeah.
Not my second spring.
Yeah.
So they say 2 years. It'll be 2, not quite a half, because I have the internship still that I have that I'll have to take in the fall. But I just really paced myself and figured out what kind of rhythm worked for me. So I'll finish up in the fall. So yeah,
it's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
We are super proud of the way that you're working. I know you've been working diligently, and I know this is something that you're super, super excited about. So to watch you excited about the direction that you're going and all that, I mean, I know me and the kids, we're all like super proud of you, and we're like, oh, go mom.
Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna go to Virginia and make that walk.
Yeah.
I want someone to hand me this diploma. This time it's more. I don't know. It's just more significant to me.
Yeah.
I mean, starting this journey at 46,
you worked hard. You know what I'm saying? You worked hard to get it.
Yeah. It's starting later. It's just kind of like, okay.
You said later, like you want to say something else. Starting
later, at this stage in my life.
Starting a little later.
Yeah, but it just, it just goes to show you, and I hope our children see that, life is a journey.
Yeah.
And I think lifelong learning should be a part of that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And you're never too old.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a chronological age that says, oh,
Yeah.
I'm too
You
old.
can't do this now.
You can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't go back to school. But, if it's in your want to,
Yeah.
you should go for it.
Yep.
Just if it's in your want to, go for it.
Well,
Because you don't want what ifs.
Yeah.
I
think that's a big thing. You never want what ifs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you always want to be able to go for it. And I think that's a kind of a great segue.
I was going to say this makes a great segue to talk about fear.
Yeah.
Because frankly, I had done online master's program before.
Yep.
But I was apprehensive, but the thing that I did, I wanted to do it, so I didn't think about it too long.
Right.
Because, negative thinking and rumination, just thinking about something over and over and over again, it will just ramp up your fear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, you just have to take that plunge and just go for it.
Just go do it. Yeah.
It wasn't reckless
Right.
by any stretch. I knew it was going to cost a significant amount of money
Right.
and time, but I couldn't worry about those things. I
Right.
could have allowed those things to be excuses to keep me from moving forward. But
Right.
I just shoved the fear aside because the benefit to me was much greater.
Yeah.
Staying focused on the end.
And when you stop and you think about it, I know fear is a huge thing, especially, when we talk about, our audience and you all. I know that there are so many people who are struggling right now. They know that there's a huge goal, that there's something great that they're supposed to be doing, but for whatever reason, they're frozen in this fear state and they won't move.
Yeah.
They won't, be active. And, the reality is I know for us many times when we think about failure, people are like stuck. Like one of the big things is there's this fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they're afraid to move because they're afraid to fail. Like I'm thinking about like the little kid playing baseball and the ball's coming, but they won't swing because they're afraid that they're going to miss the ball. But what they don't realize is that when the ball comes, if they don't swing,
you're gonna miss the ball.
They're gonna miss the ball.
Same thing.
You know
They're
what
gonna
I mean?
have the same result.
Exactly.
I think too, people aren't just afraid of failing, and maybe this is someone out there. Your experience as you're listening or watching, you're afraid to succeed. You're afraid of what success might look like, or are you worthy of it, or can you handle it? So I see a lot of people, have a tendency to self-sabotage.
Right.
And fear is the underlying current in that's keeping them from, really enjoying or settling into success.
Mm-hmm.
They just put a lot of pressure on themselves and, find ways to just, sabotage by procrastinating or negative self-talk.
Right.
And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, so to speak. But, you talk about fear. Fear is one of the 8 that I'm getting all...
Look at you. It's
one of the 8 primary emotions that we have as a part of the human experience. And those primary emotions, from that come the array of other emotions. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've learned in my training through clinical mental health is that when a person has a problem or there's an issue, psychologically, there's a fear at the root of it, typically.
Got it.
There's typically something, one of those 8, but it's usually, just asking the question, what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
That can really open the whole Pandora's box of beginning to explore, what has you stuck?
Yeah.
So, if you're in a stuck state, because you talked about not being able to move or paralyzed.
Yeah.
People are paralyzed by fear or fright. Not only in the sense of doing things or accomplishing things or making movement or progressing forward, going through the process, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. But fear literally is an emotion that can bring about physical paralysis. It can make you freeze. And that is a function of our survival instinct to stay alive. The fight.
The fight or flight.
Flight.
Yeah.
You freeze.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's interesting to think about that because, you don't, like, I don't sit here and I'm like, hey, that's fight or flight or freeze, right? Like, that's that right there. Like, but that happens so often with people, you know. I even think about, you know, things like even me personally, you know, like even with growing this business, you know, there are things that we have going on. And, you know, one of the things that we shared with you earlier, you know, we are making a move, right? And I know some of you are like, where are y'all moving to? Well, I mean, we're not like technically moving from physically where we are, but we are making a move from a platform, right? So when we think about social media, there's a lot of things going on within social media, right? And the giants, you know, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the TikToks, the YouTubes, you know, they're all great platforms. But, you know, I know we're making you know, this decision, if you will, to kind of move all of our stuff to a new main platform in this new place called Fanbase. And I don't know if anybody has ever heard of a Fanbase, but Fanbase is an amazing social media platform. It is a tool. It's very much like, you know, if you like YouTube, it has YouTube. If you like Netflix, it has its own version of Netflix. If you like Instagram, TikTok, it's like all of that stuff
multifaceted
in one place. But part of the reason why, you know, I know we're making this move is because of the way it's actually set up. You know, I don't want to be held hostage anymore by social media, right? So we're making this move to where we can have everything housed in one place. And you talk about fear. There's a lot of fear associated with making this transition and making this move. And I think a lot of the fear is that, you know, you're like, man, I'm moving, but nobody's going to come visit me. You know what I'm saying? Or like, we're going to be over here and it's going to be lonely. But, you know, it's so interesting because even though we're making this move, I'm like, it's one of those, it's like, you gotta make the move. You know, if we don't swing the bat and they throw a strike, you're going to strike out anyways and be sitting down. So, you know, it's one of those, like, I'd rather go out swinging, doing everything that I know that we can do, and just continue to build. And it may be slow, right? But it's like, how do you leave when you have this established thing over here? You know, people know to come see you over here. How do you leave, and how do you do that? And I know that's something that we're just, you know, we're working through right now, trying to figure it out. You know, trying to figure out what it looks like. But on the other side of that, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
change can be very frightening, but it can be very exciting too. And, you know, those of you out there who are growing business or just growing self, you know, it's important. And I know you've done this on the front end, to do the work on the front end, to match your goals, your aspirations, the end in mind, you know, the mission, those sorts of things, what you're trying to accomplish, with what's going to be best for you in the future. And it may look different than what everybody else is doing.
I agree.
And, you know, you may need to make a move, and it might be a calculated risk.
Yeah.
But when you sit down and you look at it and you analyze, okay, you know, now is the best time. We need to make the move. We got to do that. But like you said, you could sit by, you could procrastinate, you could let fear make you paralyzed to just stay where you're at. Yep. Or you can take this risk and reap the benefits of it. I mean, because regardless, you know, let's just face it. Even if we fail, even if we swing and we miss, hopefully there's an opportunity. You take the opportunity, because in every failure there's an opportunity. And so hopefully you take the time to examine what is the opportunity. Okay, so we made a move. We decided to move to a platform, and maybe it didn't work out like we thought. Right. What could we do different? Or maybe it turned out just like we thought, or maybe it turned out even better than we had hoped for. Right. So what are you going to bet on?
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, and you know this, I'm a bet on us.
I'm a bet on me.
You know, I'm a bet on us. I'm a bet on this team. I believe in what we're doing. I believe in the vision of what we're doing. And honestly, it's way bigger than I can probably even think of by myself. Like the vision is huge for what we have going on with Edge and Associates. You know, not only is it, you know, the things that we're out doing, from a training and development perspective, and doing leadership development, those kinds of things, right? But it's also the Relatively Unknown podcast, and making certain that we can still create a platform for relatively unknown people, give them a voice, give them a place where they can tell their story, give them tips and tools that are going to help them to go from relatively unknown to known the way that they want to be known, right? It's also the edge life and being able to create this, I don't know, television series. I don't know what it is, but I guess that's the closest thing that I can equate it towards, right? So creating this television series or what have you, where we're telling the story of how we're building this business. It's also having merchandise and things like that is going to equip people and give people positive affirmations that not only can they say, but they can read. It's also creating planners and different kind of tools that people can use. It's also, so there, you see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's so much, right? And when I stop and I think about it, you and I, we kind of had this conversation about, we want everybody, all of our children and grandchildren, to be involved in,
at the level they would like to be.
At the level that they would like to be,
right.
inside of this family business. And let me say it this way: have an opportunity.
Yeah, it's building a legacy.
It's
not just about now, but about future and opportunity for growth. And when you have these sort of opportunities, whatever it may be, building a business, or like I said, making an investment in yourself, it's important to have a clear picture of what the big picture is,
right?
But not in every day to get lost in that,
right?
Because you can't eat that whole elephant.
No.
That will cause you to have a level of fear that will keep you just stuck with literally only having the vision.
Yeah, that's like that analysis paralysis type deal, where you just like, you get the information, but it's like you keep on getting information, and let me get some more information. You know what I mean?
It's like, we're gonna have kids when we have enough money.
Right.
Having
that part right there.
This imaginary place or this magical thing you think is gonna happen in order for you to move forward.
Right.
And really, there's no magic to it.
Right.
It's a decision. You just have to decide to.
Yeah.
And make that move. And
right.
be willing to accept whatever consequences come.
Right.
And consequence is not always a bad thing. I mean, the consequence could be, a $1 billion business.
Right.
The consequence could be you're graduating,
right.
or you're getting that certificate, or you're leaving this old job and you're getting your dream job, whatever it is. But you have to make that move. You cannot sit there and just sit in fear.
Yeah.
And literally marinate in fear and everything that comes along with it.
Yeah. One of the big things I know that has plagued a lot of people, especially from starting, is this thing called perfectionism.
Ooh.
Right. And the idea that, going back to what you said, it has to be perfect before I even jump out there. I even get started, It's like when I get everything right, then I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? And the reality is, to what you were just saying a second ago, will it ever be perfect?
Well, what are you measuring it against? When I get everything right. So what's the measure of rightness?
Right. And
when I have enough money, what is enough?
What is enough?
Right? Like, most of the time when we're really fearful of doing something, we don't put specific enough parameters or measures for us to really know when.
Right.
And it's just part of perpetuating that fear. It's giving you an excuse or an out.
And that part right there, that's what happens
the
with so many of us, because we're really just looking for
the
out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I want to do it, I see it, but I'm waiting for the out. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, please, somebody just come and pull my shirt tail and tell me, no, you can't go over there.
That's a sign.
That's a sign, exactly.
We'll conjure up all kinds of things in our mind
to
give us reasons why not to.
Exactly.
But I just say, why not?
So let me ask you this. Just thinking back in your experience, can you think of a time that you were extremely fearful, but you made the steps anyway, and obviously it worked out for you? Like, can you think of something specific that kind of had you paralyzed in fear, if you will?
Yeah. So when I went, and this is silly, so I've always had this thing with taking tests. It's just always been. I can remember back when I was in grade school. That's like elementary and middle school for y'all, but grade school is what I went to.
Yeah.
I can remember just getting really nervous to take tests, and I would, my arms would itch, and I'd have this rash. Well, I only had the rash not because I was sick, but because I was anxious, and I was like scratching these little places, and so I'd have to go home or whatever, and that would happen every now and again, or be anxious about whatever. But the main thing that I remember is test taking, and so I can remember back in 2011. When I was unemployed and I was looking, like what's next, and really went through, a pretty serious depression.
Right.
And I decided to become a personal trainer. I had really started investing in my own fitness journey, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna be a personal trainer, and then my hope and goal is to, do
Jump
that.
out there with it. Right.
Like that's what I'm gonna do. And run my own business. And so, of course, I, found the perfect program, the one that I thought fit me through the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and paid for the test and the documents and all that stuff. And I drug my feet so long in fear just going to take that test.
Right.
I mean, I really just did. I'd studied that material so many times, or I'd procrastinate for a little while and jump back on it. And I mean, I took the test, and I only had to take it the one time, and I passed it. But I made all these bazillion excuses. I've invested all this money. I don't want to take it too soon and fail. I've invested all this time, But in the back of my mind, it was just I was afraid.
Yeah.
And I feel that, like even now, like knowing I have 3 major exams to take in order to get my licensure and complete my degree. And I'm already can tell, in my mind, I'm starting, fear is starting to operate.
Yeah.
And so I think that was probably not the time I was most afraid, because I would say in general, I'm pretty much a risk taker. There's not a lot of things that scare me.
Right.
Except for you talked about perfection. And I have been set free, released from that expectation. It took a long time for that. But it creeps up every now and again in these high pressure things where I want to perform well. Or I know I need to be at my best. I need to give something my best. How about you? Like, what's a time in your life where, fear was the prevailing emotion that was just dictating to you?
I mean, I think as recent as, stepping out on faith and betting on myself.
Yeah.
Even
with Edge and Associates.
Yeah, with Edge and Associates, that was and sometimes I still battle and fight through that. You know what I mean? Like starting your own business is not the easiest thing in the world to do. That's number one. Especially starting.
If it was, everybody would
be doing it, right? But especially starting from scratch, right? It was like, when I started, although I knew what to do, like when I got in the room, I knew what to do when I got in the room. That was not the hard part for me.
Yeah.
The hard part was becoming known so that you can continue to build the business, right?
You knew the what, but you didn't know how.
I didn't know how.
How do I find this niche?
I didn't. And honestly, for me, I was thankful, and I've been fortunate that I've had some other people who have recognized the gift. They've recognized my ability, and they've kind of taken me under my wing. I got 2 or 3 people who were just like, "Yo, we got you, and we're gonna help you, and you can do this." And to your point, because there are many nights where I was like, "I don't know if I can do this." I don't know. But they literally they pushed me, and they pulled out of me something that was greater on the inside of me that I didn't even know was there. But again, left to my own vices of self-sabotage, left to my own vices of negative self-talk,
Procrastinating.
procrastination.
Which you did for years.
Yeah,
You had to be forced into it.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, I should have done this around 2010, and it wasn't until 2018 that that's 8 years. You know what I mean?
It's a long time to procrastinate.
It's a long time to procrastinate, but I know for me, I was like, oh well,
I'll do it when.
Yeah, I'll do it when when the money's right. I'll do it when the kids get a little older. I'll do it when, and I always tried to find an excuse.
Every time a box got checked, you find another one.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then it's funny because corporate world will get you because they give you this thing called promotions, right? So they give you these promotions and they give you these little pay raises, and then you're like, yo, I think I might stay a little longer, but and again, no shade or no knock on corporate jobs. If you got a corporate job, please take your corporate job and keep it until
to fund the dream.
Yeah, that's right.
Use the corporate job to fund the dream,
right? So, when I stopped and I thought about it, that helped me to believe in the negative self-talk.
Yeah.
Right, because the negative, it was like, no, you're not ready, and then they would give me a promotion. I'd be like, yeah, see,
so that's a sign.
That's a sign.
See what
you know
I
what I
said?
mean?
Yeah, that's a sign.
But honestly, when I learned or when I started having the unctions about this, around 2010, man, where would I be now if I would have taken that and like done something with it? You know,
see, even that thought right there can sabotage
It
the
could.
now.
It
you know,
could.
if you let it, like, maybe I started too late.
Yeah.
I'll just give up, go back to corporate America.
Yeah.
Because where would I have been? You know, I missed the window of opportunity.
And honestly, sometimes I think about it. I'm like, man, maybe I'll go back to corporate America. But then I'm like, nah.
You've already had a taste of this now, so
I've come too far down. You know what I'm saying? I've come too far. I'm like, I can't go back into that. Now,
I've seen the promised land. And there's grapes as big as our head.
Man,
and
that is big.
But there are giants.
But there are giants there. Exactly.
Talk about the giants.
Exactly. And the giants are real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The giants are, and I'm just being real and transparent. The giants are things like, they get good insurance in that corporate job. You know what I'm saying? And your wife is having some medical challenges, and it's
this is true story.
It's like, maybe I'll go back and get the corporate job because my wife needs the good insurance because she's having some medical challenges. Like that's a real life story, right? And it's like real. How do you do that? And it's like if you don't go back and get the good insurance, and you feel like you're letting like I felt like I was letting you down because but I'm like. But there's something greater. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, but God, I know this is what you said. And so it's hard to, like, even when we were, you were going through your medical challenges, I'm sitting there like, it was so hard to watch because it was like I was helpless. But for me, it perpetuated those voices to say, go back, to what you just left. And literally I had to fight myself not to do that, not to make a phone call, not to, go and apply for things that I know was not going to make me happy, And
it's kind of like, you have a hole in your boat.
Yeah.
And you need to spend the time to patch it. But instead you just decide that you're going to get on the water and try to bail it out while you're trying to get where you're going.
And that's rough. It's hard.
You're going to actually be further behind in time trying to bail and
all that water out
when you could have just stayed on shore and went ahead and fixed
dealt
the
with
boat.
It. Exactly.
Because that corporate America was just it's like a slow leak.
It was. And for me, again, I learned so much in corporate America. I did personally. I learned a lot. I had an amazing company that I work for. But I realized that there was something bigger in me.
Yeah.
Right. And I would never have been able to have the level of fulfillment that I have now if I would not have taken the risk and told fear basically to shut up. You know what I'm saying? Because that's literally what I had to do was tell fear to shut up.
And sometimes you have to do it afraid.
Yeah.
And you have to get up every single day and tell fear to shut up. And you really gave some great insight to really help those who are listening or watching. One really great way to get beyond your fear is to surround yourself, number one, with people who are where you'd like to be.
Yeah.
Or have characteristics, qualities that you aspire towards, but that will also breathe life
Yeah.
into that place of fear. You know, they blow out the cobwebs, blow out the dust, affirm you, breathe life into you, and really they can see the qualities that have been masked by the fear, that are hiding behind that facade of fear, that you don't see.
Yeah.
Because all you can see is what you're afraid of.
Yeah.
You know, when you think of monsters in the closet, even if there's no monster in the closet, we all know this from childhood. We see that doggone monster.
That heart beating hard.
And you looking so hard
Yeah.
for the clothing to move, and you swear.
Yeah.
I swear for goodness,
Yeah,
I
you
saw
saw it.
that move.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
You hear it. You see it.
Yeah.
So instead of you hearing and seeing the monsters and what you're staring into your fear to find, these people are turning on the light and showing you, man, there's nothing to be afraid of. But look what you have.
Right.
Look at all this that you have in here
Right.
that can be used. There's no monsters.
Right.
There's
Right.
just assets.
Right. And that was a big thing, again, and you said it, getting around the right community. I had one particular gentleman, his name is Buck Davis, awesome guy. But Buck was so amazing in believing in me when I didn't necessarily believe in myself.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, when I called him, he was like, I got you. And he was like, and you can do this. And I am a living example and witness that it can be done. And even it was almost like I didn't even have the strength to be like, I could do this. But Buck was like, but you got this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
and I got you.
right, and I got you.
Yeah.
And don't worry, and we'll figure it out,
I have to thank Buck because, Buck's confidence in you not only, led you into your destiny, but I mean, literally his belief in you, and him saying, I got you, and really doing that.
Yeah.
It kept everything together.
Yeah, it did.
Financially, emotionally, from a business standpoint,
Yep.
and you gained a lot of momentum.
Yeah. And it was so interesting because,
Thanks, Buck.
and just using Buck as an example, he introduced me to some other people.
Yeah.
And those other people, it was like, well, if you're a friend of Buck, you're a friend of ours. Welcome to the family. And I felt like one of the X-Men.
Okay.
And I had this gift that was like this untapped potential. And I went to the school of the X-Men. And so when I got around these other people, it was like you could see their superpower and the thing that they possess. And you're like, oh, wow. Not only am I not an outcast, but there are other people out there who have this superpower and they use it also. And so that was super, super cool because, again, it was like Buck introduced me to the school of the X-Men. And it pulled something out of me that, again, I didn't necessarily know was there because fear was, trying to hold me down.
And that X-Men, that analogy, that's a great example. I mean, to show they were afraid of their superpowers. They were afraid of the very thing that was their greatest asset.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that is so common. The very thing that is meant for us to live in meaning and purpose in life and to function out of and find fulfillment in.
Yeah.
Is the very thing we're most afraid of.
Yeah. And it's so weird because I go back to something you said earlier, many times we're afraid of success.
Yeah.
Right? And it even sounds strange to say, but I think I can look at myself and look in the mirror and say, I was afraid to succeed because what if I didn't? You know what I'm saying? I was afraid to succeed because I'm like, what if this happens and I'm not able to, operate in it? Or what if this does work? What am I gonna do?
What if it does work and then something happens and it falls apart? I think that's the greatest fear. It's like all eyes are on me. All the expectations are for me to keep this up or to maintain this. And that's why we stay trapped
Mm-hmm.
in, the same repetitive cycles over and over and over again.
Right.
And we never reach a full place of maturation or growth, and tap into the potential that we have within us.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, like even I think back to, that experience and going to the School of X-Men, that gave me so much confidence.
Yeah.
And then when I was able, it was like, when I was put in a position where I got my first hit, and I was like, yo, I can do this. You know what I'm saying?
Not took his first hit, but got his first hit.
I did. Yeah, not took the first hit. But when I got my first, because I was in there, man, and I got that first hit, it was like, yo, the way this thing hit the bat, man, it felt so good. And it just led to a different level of momentum, and it put you in a different place. Because, again, when we're walking in this world, confidence is the one thing that you have to have. And that's the thing that fear tries to come and sap.
Yeah.
Right? It tries to come and take that confidence away from you. So we got to figure out ways that we can reverse that so that we can step out and be confident.
Yeah. Speaking positive affirmations, having other people speak positively into your life, all of those things, they matter. That's huge.
Yeah. They do matter, and as Buck would say,
you matter.
You matter.
Yeah.
Right? Buck would say you matter.
That's exactly what he would say. You do matter, and so that's why we want to encourage you to to ask yourself, why not?
Right.
Not why. I mean, why not?
Why not? And that's a question that we want you to think about, even as you're sitting at home, as you're listening to the podcast today. Why not you? We say this all the time. We believe that you were created for a reason. There's something that you have on the inside of you that nobody else has. But you have to be able to execute, right? Yeah. Activate that thing that's on the inside of you. Because when you do, it not only will change your life, but there are people waiting for you to change theirs as well. And that's a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
That's a big deal. So the question we want you to ask yourself today is, what are you afraid of? What's stopping you? Right? What's stopping you? Why not you? You can be successful, right? You can be successful. And to that point, we're going to jump out there and we're moving over to our new home called Fanbase.
Why not?
If you have not downloaded the Fanbase app, please be our guest. Download the Fanbase app. We want you to check it out. We got a lot of good things that we're going to have over there. You'll be able to see just daily posts, daily operations, daily stuff that we have going on. But you'll also be able to see content in which you can subscribe to be a viewer on, right? You can get behind the scenes action. You can get behind the scenes opportunities and trainings and things like all that stuff. It's there for you. So I'm saying this, don't you be afraid. Come on over to Fanbase. Follow us over there. Don't you be afraid. Take your steps and do what you need to do, because here's the reality. Ain't nothing gonna happen unless you move and unless you do it. So, babe, what you got to say before we get out of here?
So, come on over to Fanbase. Come on, y'all. Follow us.
Hey, I like that. Come on over to Fanbase, y'all. We will be there. We will be there.
Maybe they'll ask me to make a commercial or something.
I know. And if I post this right there, I might need to post the come on over to Fanbase part, babe. I think you can do it.
I think I can. Y'all think I can?
I think she can.
I ain't scared.
I think she can. Well, listen, with that being said, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in to Relatively Unknown, the #1 place for up-and-comings. If you are an up-and-coming, listen, don't you be afraid. You better take the steps, and let's see what happens after you step out there on faith. So, with that being said, y'all be easy. We will see you next week, same time, same place. And make sure y'all follow us on Fanbase. We'll holler at y'all now. Peace.
Relatively unknown. Let's go. We up and coming, we fun and we real and relevant. Yeah, we giving hope, we super dope, you know we heaven sent. If you sick and low, you need a dose, we got the medicine. Probably never heard of us before, but you gon' let us in. I told y'all boys before that we coming, ready to give it to anybody that want it. We bringing y'all the truth and keeping it 100. You may not know it now, but soon we gon' run it. We gon' run it, it's my promise. Y'all better get ready, cause we coming. Content gon' be so fire. Don't like, share, and subscribe. Yeah. share, answer